In 2011, in the heart of the Pacific Ocean, something incomprehensible opened up. Yggdrasil, the majestic world tree of Scandinavian mythology, suddenly blossomed with its branches as if pouring the nectar of life around the world. However, the joy of this majestic miracle was overshadowed by the terrible consequences that his gifts carried with them. Ruthless hordes of monsters burst out from the depths of darkness, ready to sow chaos and death. Their horned shadows eclipsed hope and carried away millions of innocent souls. In these dark times, mankind was doomed to rely on beacons of hope, on beings washed in the waves of judgmental awakenings. These chosen warriors had special talents and exceptional strengths that could withstand monsters. Faced with horrors, they stood at the forefront of battle, boldly stepping forward to challenge the horror that had invaded their world. However, not everyone was destined to find prosperity in this miraculous new world. Among those who were bound by the weight of past sins and did not find their place in the shadow of Yggdrasil was Jehanan, an ordinary lunar warrior immersed in a bottomless abuse and regrets. Doubts raged in his soul, and hopelessness fettered his existence. However, fate decided to play a game of chance with him, opening the path leading to one-of-a-kind mythical artifact in front of him. Now, surrounded by unexpected prospects, Jehanan faces a fateful choice. What role will this mysterious object play in his fate? What ominous mysteries and fateful turns will await him on his tangled path? Will he be able to overcome his doubts, stand the test, and stand guard over humanity in this epic battle against evil that erupted after the awakening of Yggdrasil? Time is running out, and an undeniable responsibility has been placed on his shoulders to save the world from fatal destruction. Raiders who hunt creatures of darkness, search for treasure, and protect civilians are considered heroes who envy them by millions. Their exploits inspire people by showing what it means to be a raider. Among them is Young Hu Min, a guy who works at an employment agency for non-guild raiders like me. But he offered me to become a human shield on the front line, fighting the undead. With this slightest mistake, I can turn into cannon fodder. The problem is that there is not much demand for raider warriors right now. They are slow and often get hurt, unlike mages who shoot at monsters from a safe distance. Warriors die in close combat. I took this job because there is simply no other choice. When entering a dungeon, our raider should keep two things in mind. There is always a chance to find a rare centuries-old treasure, but the dungeon also tests our endurance and resilience. It is impossible to predict whether you will encounter treasure or only your own death. We entered inside with orders not to retreat even under the threat of death. What happened to me? The things that drop here are usually not bad, since this is A-rank dungeon. I asked. I don't know yet, came the reply. Oh, what was just now? What did that even mean? My mind filled with questions and anxiety. My mind was in a whirlpool of questions and anxiety when a strange noise was heard in the dungeon. What happened? What could it mean? We continued to move forward, persistently following the order. Do not retreat, even under the threat of death. The gloomy corridors of the dungeon engulfed our group, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something more than just the undead lurked here. Tension filled the air as we moved deeper, listening to every sound that ready for the unknown. Soon we came across the first signs of the presence of treasures. A room opened up before us, sparkling with glut and jewels. My eyes widened in surprise. We found it ourselves face to face with treasures that are spoken of in legends. My mind was seized with the feeling of incredible possibility, but I could not distract myself from the impending danger. Being a raider is not only danger and adventure, but also an exploration of oneself, revealing one's own potential and giving the world a new meaning. After all, every raider has a hidden hero who can change the course of fate and inspire others with his exploits. And I realized that even in the darkest moments, when everything seems hopeless, the raiders remain a beacon of hope in the darkness. Mysterious messages flashed on the screens, making my heart beat faster. The egg system we've relied on from all these years in a total disarray. The connection was interrupted, and the inscriptions about the inactivity of the system caused an alarm. It was something incomprehensible. We had never experienced such a failure before. Strange messages continued to appear on the screens, indicating that unknown entity had entered the system. Attempts to enable safe mode to solve technical problems were in vain. What's happening? I've always heard that I have to follow the light, but now everything seems disturbed and confused. My companion, a fair-haired guy, looked at me with surprise, not understanding my thoughts. He thought I was just muttering to myself, but it all made a lot of sense to me. The light that caught my attention pointed to something more important. I had to check what was there, what was hidden behind the inviting path of blue and green light. "What are you doing?" my companion shouted to me, trying to stop me. But I couldn't stop. Something told me that there, behind the light, lay the answer to all my questions. But the questions didn't leave me. What is happening to me? Why is the egg system breaking for the first time in these years? Why should I follow the light? An unknown voice ordered me to move forward, as if I were his puppet. I made my mind and moved forward despite the fear and uncertainty. Under the feet, my path shone brighter and brighter, leading me to mysterious revelation and opportunities that lay ahead. I knew that my fate had taken a new turn, and I must accept the challenge of this unknown path in order to unravel the mysteries that lurked behind the fight. The egg system is of interest of excites the minds of researchers and science fiction writers from all over the world. It is believed that its name is not arbitrary and is rooted in the deepest past of mankind. According to a secret theory, the name X was given to the system by the divine race, which is in the recent past became the last hope for humanity, standing on the verge of extinctions. This race, considered the highest beings, possessed incredible abilities and knowledge comparable to the divine. In 2011, which will be remembered as a year of great tribulation, something amazing and terrible happened at the same time. From the depths of the Pacific Ocean, a tree of height arose, about which there was various rumors. Some considered him a harbinger of the death of all mankind, while others saw him as a sign of blessing. But no one expected that this tree is nothing more than Yggdrasil, a mythical world tree from Old Norse mythology. It was on the ninth day after its occurrence that the real apocalypse began. With the grim poignancy, monsters of incredible size appeared all over the world, devouring everything in their path. It was the end for mankind, and half of them died from the monstrous fury of these creatures. The remaining half suffered from hunger, disease, and hopelessness. But it was in the darkest moment that unexpected hope arose. The first awakened people possessing a power comparable to the power of the gods began to appear all over the world. They possessed incomprehensible abilities that even the wisest minds could not explain. Monsters hunters, these brave and reckless people, have become the last hope of mankind. They went on deadly expeditions to stop the invasion of monsters and protect what was left of the civilian population. Their powers and skills were pitted against the power and destructive fury of the monsters, and every encounter with them became a battle of life and death. Thus began an epic struggle between humanity and the monsters that seemed hopeless yet uplifting at the same time. Monster hunters have become a symbol of courage and unwavering will of mankind to survive. The majestic giant door carved into the rock seems to be entrance to secret rooms and treasury. In high-level dungeons, such rare finds attracted the eyes of adventurers. After all, it was here that one could find special items of class A or even higher, unique ingredients that were valued at several $100,000. For a man immersed in poverty, this gate was a direct path to a new life, an almost prayerful appeal to the gods asked to send something worthwhile which would help to forget about the difficult fate. And so the doors opened, leaving behind the whole world and giving the opportunity to look inside the mysterious treasury. All these stories about treasury chats heard on TV turned out to be or not just legends. They were the reality now revealed to him. New messages appeared on the hologram. The accurate item called the sacrificial eye of Odin was classified as mythical. It was donated by the king of the Asses at the Well of Mimir in order to gain higher wisdom. Once occupied, it provided unique abilities including rune awareness, magic use, disarming, and destruction. It was a one-of-a-kind mythical item that could not be removed once worn. Now, with this powerful artifact in his possession, he was ready for the new trails and adventures that awaited him in the depths of treasury. He stood on the threshold of a world full of dangers, riches, and opportunities, and nothing could stop him. Everything went on as usual, and the system recovery time came just in time, giving him the strength and courage to move on. Items that appeared at auctions had the highest grade class C. When such rare items ended up at auction, their prices could reach tens of millions of dollars. Magic-related items were especially prized, and people were willing to pay any price, no matter how many zeros there were. But if you think about it, because such objects belonged to the physical world, they were the only one of their kind. Thanks to this item, he no longer had to suffer from lack of money. The guild would no longer look down on him, and he would no longer have to act as a human shield in dangerous dungeons. Since he was the first to get this item, it might be worth trying it on when the opportunity presents itself. You must try out this mythic item at least once before selling it. However, a message suddenly popped up, unable to remove after equipping. Do you wish to equip it? Oh no, cancel, no way. Did he want to lose this rare item he had just received? There was no good reason for him to wear it. If he lists it on the black market, it will be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He was not going to continue his trips on the dungeon because he had already crossed the age limit of 20 years ago, and his level could not increase significantly. The system does not work properly, and no clear effect is expected from the use of this item. Unforeseen complications and unprecedented anomalies have become commonplace these days when dungeons have become an integral part of our lives. Raiders are constantly faced with various difficulties and surprises. It's probably time for me to go back. He's about to come back, said my friend. Please wait a little longer. And then finally he appeared. Johan, hurry up. We'll move on now. Sorry for the delay. I hope this doesn't happen again. I will be more careful next time. I'm serving you tonight. By the age of 27, finally matured? Nothing that happens here is subject to the outside world, and therefore lawlessness reigns here. Spreading the word that I found available item here is like asking to be robbed. I still plan to sell it after the raid ends as planned. Now it's important to drive away suspicious. Grouping together, we are preparing to resume the raid when suddenly, out of nowhere, a loud sound was heard, accompanied by powerful explosions. Everything around us tragedy, and panic seized everyone. What was it? What's happening? Minutes seemed like an eternity when the dust settled and we could see crumbling walls and battered objects. It turned out that we are attacked. Incomprehensible forces or hostile creatures decided to interfere with our search and struck right in the heart of our raid. Amidst the noise and commotions, I mustered up my strength and surveyed my surroundings. Debris, mangled weapons, and wounded comrades were scattered around. We needed to take action and respond to this attack. Clearly, there is such more to this than just a random encounter. We have fallen into a trap or witnessed events that are beyond our understanding. But we didn't have time or think or fear. We must unite, find the cause of this attack, and protect ourselves. Rising to my feet, I took the weapon in my hands and looked in the direction where the sound of the explosion came from. Uncertainty and danger were in the air, but our determination and spirit of struggle did not weaken. We are ready to face any challenge that is thrown at us and find answers to all questions that arise before us. Our raid will resume as we continue our journey through the dangers and mysteries of this world. Nothing will stop us in our search for the truths and secrets that lie behind these walls. We will go forward, stand shoulder to shoulder, and overcome all obstacles in order to achieve our goal. Surrounded by poisonous fog and explosions, I realized that our situation had become extremely dangerous. Cold with terror, I screamed Jay Han's name, calling him to me. We had to leave this place immediately, otherwise death was inevitable. But before we could react, a sharp sword pierced my friend's chest. He was in a stupor, but they realized that he had to run. Unexpected explosions were heard all around us, and the poisonous fog engulfed the entire dungeon. The dead people and monsters testified that this time work of essence, and their goal was to destroy the Meteor Guild. It was impossible to run to the exit. I realized that the guards standing there could have killed me. The best thing was to stay inside the dungeon and find a safe hiding place. My thoughts were swirling. Why is all this happening right now, when I got my hands on the mythical item? Did they think that I would die so easily with my available artifact in my pocket? Suddenly, a low and raw voice sounded from behind. Jong Won Min. Faced with John, I couldn't hide my surprise. Did you arrange all this? The poisonous fog, the attack on the Meteor Guild. It all sounds like your work. My accusation sounded, but Jong remained calm and calmly replied, before jumping to conclusions, I need to understand the whole situation. Why would I order the destruction of your client? Besides, many people don't like the Meteor Guild. They became too arrogant after all this praise, and no wonder some guilds want them dead. People who enter forbidden dungeons have a name wrapped in dark legends, dungeon essence. In these ominous places, they roughly carry out their deadly deeds. Judging by the circumstance, this attack on me was completely unexpected, but the world of magic has its own laws and hierarchy, and I, simply a raider with a low D rank, could not compare with the great Zhang Wu Min, an A rank magician, a magic genius who belonged to only 2% of the privileged population of the country. Moreover, it was obvious that I was not their target. I should have kept quiet, given way they stepped aside. The A system was still in a disabled state, and I had no guarantee that I could get out of this place alive. Also, I dreamed of revenge and knew that I did not have the strength and ability to do so. But then their words broke into my thoughts. You know, our target wasn't just the Meteor Guild. Why the attacking? They said cryptically, throwing up even more questions. I, a simple raider, began to think, have I really crossed the road from someone? Who can be behind this? My thoughts revolved in an endless maze until suddenly the truth came crashing down on me. Was the my father? Everything suddenly fell into place. 5 years ago, in the winter, he already ordered something similar. How did I not realize before that you are so quick witted? They confirmed my guesses and shed light on the mysteries of the past. My father, the man who tortured my mother and me, was behind it all. It was shocked, as if the world had collapsed on me. What do you want to tell me? What lies behind the unscrutable truth? In those seconds turned into eternity, I hardly realized that the next step would determine my fate. Something incomprehensible happened that even Jungkook couldn't explain. Magic. His mana, the source of his strength, began to grow inexorably. He felt how power filled every cell of his body. But what was happening? Jung felt like he was losing control of his magic, and Jay, in yellow flame with one fiery eye, stood in front of him. Suddenly, the holograms reappeared and the text flickered on the screen. You have acquired the item, Sacrificial Eye of Odin, pairing item with user. Now, everything became the axis is clear. Lorne realized that the sacrificial eye of Odin was affecting him. He tried to refuse his influence, but his magic deceived it. Zhang Wumin just said softly. Now the forces of the sacrificial eye of Odin acted on him. Jay used a blank card and promised Zhang to die in agony. Bright yellow-red lightning bolts were directed at John. He was stunned. Where did Jay get such a skill? John knew that it took years of training to master lightning chants. But how could an ordinary warrior learn such a spell? He did not understand how this became possible, but he was sure that this spell would not save him for certain death. The chains of lightning were inexorably approaching Jungkook, and everything seemed hopeless. The fiery light illuminated the darkness, and the blow was inevitable. But suddenly, in the blink of an eye, everything around was plunged into a bottomless blue color. Chung didn't give up without a fight. He realized that he could not evade a fatal blow, but he decided not to let his enemy kill him ruthlessly. He fell to the ground, his face covered in wounds and blood. In this silence, he whispered, "Don't kill." At that moment, something incredible happened. Blue light enveloped Kon, and the chains of lightning, as if opening, disappeared into oblivion. John got up from the ground, smiling faintly at his opponent. He realized that the fate had decreed otherwise for him. Jungkook's heart was pounding, and he felt his stamina and magic began to leave him. Fatigue and exhaustion seized his strength. He felt that lack of was not on his side today, and the word death began to haunt him, hanging over him. Death, The terrible and cold ending became a frequent companion in his life. The work of a raider has been filled with danger, but only now he truly looked into her face and felt her cold breath on his neck. And suddenly a hologram appeared in front of him with the next. A new operating system has been loaded. Would you like to run it? When you start a new system, you will be transported to the best period of your life. Junk wondered if moving could save him. Could it be a chance for redemption? He did not know whether this would lead him to happiness or the tragedy, but he realized that he had no other choice. He decided to launch a new operating system, and the only thing left is to hope for the best. Thus began the process of launching a new operating system, a system called Norn. Suddenly, three adorable girls appeared in front of Jung. One of them held out her hand, and he answered the call by holding out this. The hologram announced, "From now on, you become an opponent of the powerful Aether race. Passive skills are assigned to you, the supervision of the gods and all-seeing eye of a god. The gods standing against Aether are watching you." Joe suddenly woke up and started in his bed. He looked around, wondering, "Where am I?" He saw a photo with his mother and looked at his hands, which contained an incomprehensible fireball. Successfully moving to the best period of my life? He thought, trying to comprehend what was happening. Am I dreaming? Or maybe I really went back in time? Joe wondered as he started at the fireball. But he was sure that this was just a dream, although it seemed so long and so realistic. He threw himself into the arms of a dream and wished never to wake up. Successful transition to the best period of your life. 20% of your body has been successfully restored, sounded inside his mind. Joe shook himself and realized that he was in his old house, lying in bed. Am I dreaming all this? He whispered, trying to collect his thoughts. Suddenly, a hologram appeared in front of him, saying, "The challenge is rest. This is basis of success. You accepted death, so rest and regenerate your health. Recovering 80% of your health is an easy task. Reward is a blank card. Quest." Let's start over, Joe thought. First of all, I didn't die fighting Jung Won Min, but why? It most likely the new system. Thanks to it, I was able to return to the past. I have long been accustomed to the existence of Yggdrasil and monsters. If I've learned anything from them, it's understanding that quick assessment and adaptations should always be a priority. If the system data is correct, I've moved back to 11 years when I was in my third year of high school. The new operating system, Norn system, has been launched. Joe mused as he got out of the bed. Norns. What the name of the new system? He thought for a moment before making his decision. In this life I will become a magician. He shouted, feeling a mixture of excitement and determination inside him. Joe returned to his room and sat on the bed. Mixed emotions overwhelmed him. Suddenly he felt that something was bothering him lately. He was usually a calm child, and his sudden tears showed that something was wrong. "Mom, I need to tell you about something," Joe said, feeling that his motherly instincts were not failing him. "I'm scared to apply to Emily's academy, and the job of a raider is dangerous. Plus, the competition is incredibly fierce. I've decided to apply for admission to the mage class." The mother listened attentively to him and replied, "Well, dear, if this is what you really want, then I support you." Bing Song On, still doing one-arm push-ups, received a message from Joe. "Great, I completed the task and I got a blank card. Everything is working out perfectly. I still don't understand what this Norn system is." He felt that he was moving in the right directions, but at the same time he was perplexed about the new system and its mysterious possibilities. Everything was so unpredictable, but Joe was ready to take on the challenge and follow the path of magic in order to achieve his goals and become stronger. Man Hawking discovered that his personal details and skills have changed after going back in time. He had an excellent memory and was used in the dungeon as a navigator, but his skills were limited to the very class. However, he did have a few passive skills that were retained by the god's surveillance skill. This skill contributed to his rapid growth thanks to the blessing of the Celestis. Each time a user leveled up, all stars increased by one. Joe was surprised by this new ability to increase all stars. He realized that the supervision of the gods is an important skill, especially in battles the Aether. He also became interested in other skills, such as God of Seeing Eye, which penetrates deceptive illusions and allows you to see reality, as well as Lightning Chain skill, which attacks the enemy with chains of lightning retinues and inflicts a paralyzed effect on them. Min Jahun was now aware of his new abilities and prepared to use them in his future adventures. He was ready for new challenges and sought to become stronger in order to take revenge on his father, an Aaron Grader. Min Jahun realized that he had limitations in using high-class spells due to his lack of mana. He understood that healing spells were especially important to him at this time, especially in 2020. Unlike Virus, mages have always been considered non-riders, but healing mages with the gift of healing were rare and special creatures. Encountering an awakened healer with skills was becoming increasingly difficult, and Ming failed to steal the healer's skill. However, he understood that the empty cards he received as a reward should be used as effectively as possible. He didn't know how many cards the system would give him in the future, and he was concerned that getting too much cards might upset the balance. He had to use this card wisely and to make the most of each one. Min understood that he needed to develop his skills and strive for improvement in order to face the challenges and reach his goal. He made the decision to learn the skills of a healer in order to be able to heal and help others. It also may have changed his perceptions in a society where magic healers were considered superior beings. Min Ju-hoon knew that he had a difficult path ahead of him, but he was ready to overcome all obstacles and use his new abilities for the benefit of himself and others. Min Jae-hoon was surprised when his close childhood friend Kim Young-yoon contacted him. She had always dreamed of going to the academy with him, but for some reason that didn't happen. However, he was glad to know that she was still the same as he remembered her. She invited him to go listen to blessed Yu Sung-eun in the city center and learn about the magic she carries within herself, the magic of self-sacrifice. It turned out that while clearing the dungeons in Itaewon, Yoon Sang-eun was on the verge of death due to her self-sacrifice skill, and there was only one way to heal her. Min approached Son's guard and spoke about the situation, asking him to help heal Yu Sung-eun. The guard reacted in disbelief, stating that Ming knew nothing about the self-sacrifice skill, and even their associate could fully understand its uniqueness. The sacrifice skill was so rare and unique that it could not be copied or passed on to others. It could be inherited or become a rare gift, and there was no formula for such skills. Min understood that he had a difficult task ahead of him to find a way to heal Yoon Sung-eun and help her overcome the danger associated with her skill. His own skills and knowledge may be the only hope for her salvation. He decided to take the challenge and used his abilities and resources to help his girlfriend and change the world fates. Min Jong-hoon was determined and was not going to back down in the face of difficulties. He said that if he thought it was impossible, he would not have come and tried to help. His goal was to heal Yong Sung-eun and deal with the problem caused by her self-sacrifice skill. The guy explained that in order to heal the damage received from the penalty effect, a skill of the same rank or higher is required. However, the problem was that the skill that caused the disease was unique, and the highest rank skill simply did not exist. He said that the healing of self-sacrifice of oneself is impossible, so there is only one way left, the sacrifice of a gift to the gods. Young Sung-eun was unable to heal herself due to limitations. The mistress demanded evidence, insisted that he demonstrate his intentions. Min took out a blank card and asked if they would like to write the self-sacrifice skill into it. He wanted to use this card to activate his self-sacrifice skill. When the skill was successfully written into the blank card, they were ready to start negotiations. The situation became serious and Min was determined to prove that he was capable of helping Young Sung-eun and using his unique skill to save them. The name self-sacrifice in itself sounds mysterious and exciting. This unique skill creates visual waves of energy that restore vitality and improve the well-being of allies. However, if cast against the undead, it becomes an offensive spell called Judgment of the Light. When copying this skill with an empty card, no penalty effects are applied. Now that everything was clear, Min was ready to offer a deal. He asked what they would like from the guild. His intention to heal Young Sung-eun was enough to try and negotiate the guy. He asked a woman to be her mentor, which caused some surprise. A mentor to support her career as a raider? He confirmed with great ambitions and the realization that money and connections are necessary for growth. She wanted to enlist the support of the Lotus Guild, and if a woman boldly put conditions, then probably Abao did not consider it worthy of investment. But there was one condition. Young Sung-eun, despite her desperate need for Min Jong-hoon's help, still set conditions and carried herself with dignity. It showed her strength and determination. Deeply immersed in the conversation, Min realized that his illness was a personal issue that had nothing to do with the guild. However, she wants to enlist not only his support, but the cooperation of the entire guild. Perhaps she wanted to get help and a little bit of herself. He understood that the exchange should be equal, and he would make a decision only after he heard her conditions. In these situations, it is not profitable for her to put forward demands, and she is ready to listen to proposals. She asked if he already had a guild that he would like to join in. He was embarrassed that she was trying to recruit him. He realized that she was serious and did not joke about such serious topics. There are several reasons why she asked such a question. First, she found out that he is the head of the Lotus Guild, and this information is classified. This is a testament to her impressive intelligence skills. Secondly, she perfectly copied his self-sacrifice, which he had never been heard before. He thought about what could be in the future when there will be people who can repeat unique skills, and what opportunities will open up for him. His thought turned on the endless possibilities she could get by copying various skills. After the condition, the Lotus Guild fell apart for unknown reasons, but now she was the undisputed leader among the guilds. If he joined the Lotus Guild right now, he is sure to be surrounded by reverence and respect. He realized that for his rapid development, he needed to become a member of this guild. However, he asked it was legal for the guild to enter into a contract with the underage student. He smiled and replied that she had heard about the guild's priority in negotiations. The guild had the right to support mages who have not yet reached the age of majority, and when they become adults, the guild will receive privileges when concluding a contract with them. Ming realized that the situation was actually beneficial for both him and the guild. He smiled back and agreed to her suggestions. The guy, despite his doubts, accepted the offer and agreed. He never imagined that he would ever get such a chance. Prior to his journey into the past, he was denied acceptance even in the lowest run guild. Now the Lotus Guild will send him a contract home, and he must rethink the offer. But before he left, the boy walked around behind the mistress and raised both hands above his head. At that moment, the attendant could not believe his eyes. Even those who devoted their whole life to healing could not cure the disease. She was so resigned she could not be easily healed. Meanwhile, the healing continued, and the hologram said, "You have used the self-sacrifice active skill. A wave of healing magic is piercing your body. Your health is being restored." The lady exclaimed with joy, shouting that her health was being restored. This unusual and unique skill of self-sacrifice, which the guy acquired, turned out to be able to heal even the most serious and hopeless disease. It was not only a gift, but also a responsibility that he took upon himself. The guy managed to cure the disease of the reason and person to whom the healing energy was directed. Passive skill emergency assistance reached level 19, and its results were displayed on the hologram. The guy told the man to try to move a little, and all the symptoms of the disease disappeared. The lady expressed her gratitude and said that even if there were any consequence in the future, she would be fine. The guy offered his business card to the mistress and assured her that he would try his best to fulfill her demands. The mistress said that she would be able at any time and asked the guy to review the contract they talked about earlier. She hoped for the positive response. The guy agreed and thought that there is something that he would like to ask her right now. After driving to an unknown place, the lady's attendant and the lady's healer found themselves in front of the entrance to the lowest ranked mysterious dungeon belonging to the Lotus Guild. This place was famous for its fierce competition among the best fighters, and if the guy wanted to survive, he needed to constantly improve his level and skills. In terms of equipment, the mistress suggested that he use the item provided by the guild. As a consolatory gesture and apology for his rudeness, he handed him the return stone. This stone allowed you to instantly move to the guild building in case of danger. The guy accepted the stone, thanks for the healing, and took it as a token of gratitude. As soon as the guy entered the dungeon, he was suddenly enveloped in the gloomy shadows, and the hologram of the system opened and showed the text. The user of the system has been redirected to the special area Helheim, land of the dead. This was the location where the boy was to fulfill his request from the mistress to clear one of the guild's low-level dungeons by himself. With the provided equipment and the power of healing, the boy was about to go through challenges and dangers to prove his worth and exceed the expectation of the lady and the Lotus Guild. His adventure was just beginning, and he was ready to fight those who stood in his way and achieve his goals in his dark and mysterious world of dungeons. The guy ended up in the dark and dangerous world of Helheim and the land of the dead. In this place he faced unprecedented forces and threats, A dead-cloaked creature holding an arrow was pointed at him. The guy suspected that it could be a paralyzing poison, but he was not going to give up. He decided to use the active skill of self-sacrifice in order to acquire the necessary strength and overcome the threats that confronted him. Suddenly, 4 ghosts appeared behind him, and among them were skeleton soldiers. But the guy was not alone. He took with him a staff from the arsenal of the Lotus Guild, which became his faithful weapon in this battle. The assembled team of enemies demanded from the guy all his strength and skill. He used his skills and wits to face this challenge. Staff in hand, he began his fight, parrying attacks and striking back. In this deadly confrontation, the guy had to show all his skills and courage to defeat each of the opponents, including the skeleton soldier. He knew what high expectations were placed on him, and he resolutely moved forward, putting his life on the line in order to achieve his goal. The dark forces of Helheim might be ruthless, but the guy readily accepted the challenge, relying on his strength and equipment from the Lotus Guild. He continued to the fight without stopping, with the hope of winning and climbing the ranks to the guild. The guy realized that relying only on self-sacrifice and hunting for experience points is not enough. He realized that it was important to develop his skills and combat strategy and not just hunt for experience points. The battle continued in the dark forest, where dozens of ghosts opposed the guy. He understood that he lacked experience in battle as a magician, but he did not give up. He killed 2 ghosts from 140 experience points and 1 skeleton soldier for 50 experience points. However, his stuff from the Lotus Guild arsenal was destroyed in the battle. The guy realized that his pursuit of experience points could harm his own weapons. He realized that it was important to find a balance and not to forget about the quality of his battle, or not just the amount of experience points. Deciding to use his self-active skill sacrifice, the boy used it as an offensive spell against the undead on the battlefield. He used the Judgment Light active skill and killed the Drog, gaining 100 experience points, as well as another ghost, gaining 70 experience points. As a result, his level increased by 1. The guy realized that just copying skills to an empty card does not mean mastering them perfectly. He realized that he needed to develop his skills and abilities, not forgetting to apply them in appropriate situations. The guy felt someone's mana and realized that his life was in danger. The shadow was approaching, and his health reached in a critical level. At the moment, a girl with different eye colors and heart appeared, explaining the boy was an honored guest brought to this place. She learned that the guy was chosen by Loki as an opponent. The girl noticed that the guy had some skills in the magic, but considered them not sufficient to confront the enemies. She invited the guy to become stronger and gave him 2 months of time to achieve this goal. If the guy copes, he will receive a special gift from her. The guy realized that his life and his plans for revenge on his father and prosperity in magic are at stake. He decided to hold on and become stronger in order to face the shadows and achieve his goals. He had a little time left, but he accepted the challenge and decided to use this time as effectively as possible. The guy was in front of the entrance to the dungeon and realized that he had met the goddess Hel, the ruler of Helheim. He was given a test to achieve the recognition of Hel by defeating the Night Shadow. A deadline was set, and a fine of death was provided for failure. The guy realized that overcoming the Night Shadow in 2 months would not be an easy task, but having a specific goal was good. The next day, he went to meet the Goldmaster, wondering why they contacted him in the first place and why they wanted to meet. The head of the guild, Joe, offered the guy one more condition. He wanted to help teach him magic. If the guy agrees, Then a contract will be signed to conduct priority negotiations with the Lotus Guild. The guy agreed, but the guildmaster wanted to test his talent to see how great he really was. The guildmaster snapped her fingers, and the mana cube appeared in front of the boy. He was told that he must defeat the cube in order to sign a contract with the Lotus Guild. This challenge serves as a mana sensitivity test and can be incredibly difficult for a beginner. The head explained that only 7% of mage had the ability to break this cube. The guy filled doubts and asked how serious it all was. The head replied that even experienced magicians have difficulty passing the cube, but this will not be an obstacle to priority negotiations. The conditions will remain unchanged. The guy decided to prepare and accept the challenge, although he was doubtful in his abilities. He was determined and ready to pass the test, even he was considered an ordinary child. The guy felt a strange feeling in front of the crystal, which was one of the decent structures. The crystal emitted incredibly strong energy, as if there was an ocean of mana hidden in it. He realized that this crystal could be a portal to the real world or could destroy the cube. Suddenly, a crack appeared on the cube just 10 minutes after the start of the test. The head of the guild and her entourage were shocked. The guy realized that the energy emanating from the crystal leads to the appearance of cracks and the destruction of the core of the cube. He figured he could get out by destroying the crystal, and that way he wouldn't have to look for another way out. The guy took the crystal in his hands and broke it. At the moment he received a passive tax in mana management. A hole appeared in the cube, and the close guild leaders could not believe their eyes. Only 7% of mage raiders get out of the cube, and it usually takes about 3 hours for A-rank mages, 2 hours for C-rank mages, but the guy managed to break the record of the head of guild Camilla from the Union of Europe, who got out of the cube in 36 minutes, with a difference of 26 minutes. The guy explained that he found a crystal inside the cube and decided to break it. The guild master was surprised and pointed out that an ordinary awakened one would not be able to find such a crystal, let alone destroy it. She realized that the guy has much more mana and energy than it takes to destroy the cube. In the name of the Lotus Guild and her world of honor, she agreed to teach him. Then the head offered to test the guy's fighting skills. The guy shortened the distance and began to attack, not observing the basic rule of magicians, to keep your distance. The head pointed this out as a major mistake, noting that a mage should always keep his distance in combat. The guild leader was surprised by the boy's skills. He activated the super speed circuits and was able to destroy her holy arrow spell. She noted that his skill is absolute and he has a power that should be inaccessible to an ordinary person without learning magic. She wondered how he could use magic without casting a spell, because for magicians this is mandatory ritual. The guy replied that he had various talents, but the head of the guild considered him still illiterate and trained. She asked if he thought he could beat her. He had almost no mana left, and he realized that she was a real monster with great potential. He didn't even notice her final blow. During the fight, I remember something I was about, a style of fighting that no one could master, but it seems to me that you are capable of its intricate. You can call me a teacher. Congratulations, now you are my student. It didn't fit in the mind of the close one how a training ground creature from a special mantle could be almost destroyed. Only marks and scratches remained on the stones, indicating of incredible speed of its development. The mistress, meeting his gaze, confirmed his suspicions and said that in addition to their training, someone else was teaching him the theory, and it was his girlfriend. Rumors about his intentions to explore the dungeons reached the mistress. She wished him good luck and remarked that E-rank dungeon would be quite challenging for him. However, the guide doubted whether he would be able to defeat the monster alone, but now, with the position to increase his mana pool, he believed in his victory over Night Shadow. Today, Hale thought they were expecting guests, and added a certain mystic and excitement to the air. The dungeon is shrouded as a sinister energy that clearly belongs to Night Shadow. Johan felt that he could meet Hell, Loki, Norna herself again. The system constantly notifies of the destructions of the Drog, Wraith, and Skeleton Wearer, and he is gaining experience points. The moment he's finally arrived, and this time should be different. The shadow immediately jumped on the journey, and red and white flashed all around. He took a step onto the left, 2 steps to the right, tilted his head, and then fell out to the side. However, something was wrong. He felt upset. Things didn't run out the way he had planned. But then his skill, Super Speed Chain, was activated, and the lightning chain directly pierced the target. The system continued to alert. Night Shadow's rage, burning his strength, agility were increased. But if John does not release the seal within 10 minutes, he will be subject to an instant death penalty. The only condition for the seal to be removed was the destruction of Night Shadow. But then something unexpected happened. Hill intervened, placing the seal of death on him. John, who couldn't understand why she was doing this. With 9 minutes 28 seconds remaining until the instant dance, there was no choice. John knew he needed to end his immediately. Did the shadow try to run away? He is just teasing me. It is necessary to deliver a powerful blow that will leave him unable to resist. But the resistance did not work, and instead the effect of fear was felt. However, this effect was dispelled, leaving only 7 minutes and 11 seconds until the end of the penalty. Shadow could use this crowd control multiple times in a row, but he could get in the way again in usual tried to use the Court of Light. In the end, he will simply deplete his strength and remain unarmed. In that case, you remember he had already stabbed him in the eyes, and his vision should have been impaired. Johannem decided to turn on the lights completely. It's finally over, damn bastard. With the time remaining until the end of the Gone One death penalty, Jolly only had 4 minutes and 11 seconds left. But what else could he do? Sorry, but it was already too late. Activate the donation system which found the dead. The victim does not go into attack mode. The penalty continued to decrease. There were 3 minutes 46 seconds, 2 minutes 18 seconds, 1 minute 47 seconds. The instant death penalty remained only 30 seconds. However, it finally worked. Night Shadow was destroyed, and Jordan received the title of the first suffering. Come to me, child, came the voice. I will wait for you in my temple. Johannem received 3,000 experience points, a Night Shadow core, and Shadow armor for his exploits. He was also given 3 new levels. 0 verification completed, and the Garm has been assigned to the guest guide. At the next meeting, we will receive the gift from Hell in the front of patronage. The chairman wishes to give you a gift in honor of your admission to the academy. B-class protective equipment is not easy to find here. It is better than an all armor. Also, if it has a closing ability, you will need an artifact with this effect. Such an item would be desired by every raider, but it will be difficult to obtain. The eye of the Absolute God penetrates false images and recognizes the truth. You have obtained the Ultimate God's Eye skill, which allows you to actively recognize and identify unknown objects while ignoring concealment and illusions ability. Please count this, and this. Why so many? All this for you and for your development, the future raider. With the rank you can save on equipment. What about the mother's hospital bills for this month? I can handle them. You keep practicing. Who is it?
Is that unholy? Is this how many my life will be? I feel like a monkey in a zoo cage. On the day I discovered my abilities, my mother did not stop stroking my head and smiling. Announcement for all visitors to the shopping center. The dungeon has broken, causing dangerous monsters to appear on the streets. The association has already sent raiders. All buyers are advised to calmly follow. The situation sounds very serious. Breaking the dungeon and the appearance of such a large number of monsters can pose a threat to the safety of the city and its inhabitants. It is important to make measures to ensure security and neutralize the threat. It looks like Johan has already made up his mind to join the fight and help defeat the monsters. Perhaps he has powers or skills that could be useful in such a situation.